Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing something super fun and so exciting. We will be repotting my two Monstera Thai constellations. So here we have these beauties. Obviously they are different sizes at different maturity levels, but unfortunately both of them had root rot. But now they have been rehabbed and they're ready to go, so we're gonna go ahead and pot them back up into some soil mixture. I'm so excited. I'm hoping that this will help promote some new growth on these plants, and it's been quite a journey, so I'm very excited. First of all though, to show you guys the supplies that I'll be using. So first I'll be using these clear net pots. There's two reasons for that. So the clear, the fact that these pots are clear means that I can keep an eye on the roots. And then the fact that they are net pots, so there's like little holes in them, just helps extra oxygen get to the roots of the plant. And it's just, I found that my plants that have root rot do really well in these kinds of pots. So if they've been rehabbed or treated for root rot and then I repot them up into something, I usually like to do it into a net pot just so that there's more like air circulation around the roots. Might not be an exact science, but in my mind it makes sense. So it's what I do. It is a cloudy day outside, so I hope that the lighting works. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So this is one I got around Christmas time, and unfortunately I paid for it. I picked it up and then it had root rot, and I was quite mad. I was like, are you kidding me? Come on. Giving it some CPR. Don't want to tear any of the roots, so I'm going to use this to try and like just peel them away. There they go. Come on. It's stuck! Oh shoot, you guys. I think there's rot. I think it's rotting in here. Dang it. There it goes. Okay. Look at this. Look at these roots. They seem pretty nice, but these ones on the inside are definitely rotting. That's not good at all. So it doesn't seem like they were really attached to anything. It might just have been like rotting roots that were left over and they just kind of broke off and were in there. Looks okay to me, but just to be safe, I think I'll treat it with some hydrogen peroxide. Let's check on the other plant though and see if it needs it too, because then we can just get two birds treated with one stone, you know. Truthfully, when the rot first happened, I was checking on these plants like every week, and then they started to grow new roots and I just kind of didn't see the point in it anymore because they were doing so well. Let's just gently pull those out. Okay, it looks like we do have some rot in here too, just an older root that probably broke. Till that doesn't seem like it's rotting. It's our roots. Kind of crazy. I was worried that the stem was rotting, but I think the stem is fine. Uh-oh, stem is not fine. No! We have some stem rot. Oh my gosh, this is not how I wanted this to go, like at all. No! So let's evaluate this. The stem is rotting right there. So what we'll need to do is get some scissors and then cut where that rot is happening. So we'll have to cut it like right there. So it looks like we'll really just be losing a couple of roots, like comparatively. Most of the roots are coming from this guy. So I'm gonna pause and then we'll come back. Again, I wasn't really expecting this. I was hoping for better. But I'm gonna go get some hydrogen peroxide, my shears, and some water. And we'll go ahead and start the treatment process. I am back. This is gonna be very nerve-wracking, but what we're gonna do is I'm gonna try and cut this stem just like right, I don't know if you guys can see it, right along that little line. I just sanitized my shears, and hopefully I can do this without breaking any roots or damaging anything like that. So wish me luck. There we go. That root was a lot longer than I had anticipated it being. Oh, look how long it was. But there's a little bit of rot just happening. It looks like it was mainly on the top of it. So unfortunately it did lose some roots. And then it makes me super nervous because now look at this plant. Oh, okay, and then it looks like in here as well there is a little bit of, can't tell if it's root damage or kind of what's going on there. But it looks like rotted tissue, so we're gonna get that cleaned off. And then unfortunately this root is broken, so I am gonna cut that off just because it does have a chance to rot. So now I'm gonna take this one and we're gonna put it in here with some water. This water is not hot, nor is it cold, it's just kind of lukewarm. So to avoid any further rot on this stem, I'm not gonna put the stem in there, just the roots. There you go. Okay. Now here we have it. It's pretty full, so I'm gonna go ahead and let this just sit for a couple of minutes. Hopefully this will be beneficial. You know, other than the older roots, these ones look pretty healthy. That and all of them are growing from like this growth point here. So if I needed to, I always have this wonky guy, this wonky root right here, that I could always propagate this plant with if I needed to. So that brings me a lot of comfort. The other Monstera does not have any other nodes. It would need to grow a new leaf. But this one, however, does have like a backup plan, you know? Okay, I was gonna use this cup, but I don't think I can get these roots to fit in there. So instead, I'll just put it in, this is my water cup. So I'm just gonna stick it in there. Again, with some hydrogen peroxide. Put some in there. And just let those soak for just a little bit. While we wait for those to sit in the hydrogen peroxide for a while, I'm gonna teach you guys a trick. I've talked about it before on my channel. I know other YouTubers have as well. But something I like to do is reuse my substrates. It's not always best for the environment or for, I guess just the environment or for your wallet to constantly be having to buy new substrate. So what I personally like to do is I like to reuse my substrate. But as you know, these guys were potted up in this perlite. And these guys, my Monsteras, were potted up in this perlite, but they were rotting. So that means that there's bacteria in here and just maybe some other bad things that we don't want to spread around to the rest of our plants. So one thing that you can do is you can use hydrogen peroxide and some water, and you'll just soak your substrate and then let it dry out overnight or for 24 hours, and then you can reuse it. So I am gonna go ahead and show you how I do this. So what I'm gonna do is I've got some water here and my hydrogen peroxide. I used to measure out, you know, like 3-to-1 ratio, just make it perfect, but now I just kind of eyeball it. And usually I just do like water and then a tiny bit of hydrogen peroxide in there and then call it good. If you wanna measure it, you can. I haven't had a problem, so it works for me. Okay, then I'm just gonna take this. I have it on a plastic tray, and then this pot does have drainage holes on the bottom. I'm just gonna take my water and then slowly pour it over the top.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Thanks, Siri. Just being sure to like completely drench and saturate this. I don't know if you can tell, but the water that came out is actually pretty murky, really gross, which is good because that means that it rinsed the perlite, it rinsed all of that gunk out. And then I'll just take it, I have another tray here, so I'm gonna take this and then just let it sit on this tray and let it dry. That is one way that you can sanitize your substrate just so you can reuse it. It's worked for me. I haven't had any issues after doing that, so 10 out of 10. I do recommend. I just wanted to see if you guys can hear this. Oh, definitely heard that. I hope you can. We're gonna find out how good my husband's microphone really is. But I just wanted to show you, it's kind of fun. You can hear like kind of a popping, sizzling noise from the hydrogen peroxide. That's just it working its magic. But honestly, it's one of my favorite sounds. Like, I think it's really cool. Anyways, back to our regular scheduled programming. Okay, so consider this like an intermission. Unfortunately, some of the plants, so the smaller Thai constellation had stem rot, and so that one I do not feel comfortable potting up in soil quite yet. The other one though had a great root system. It did have pieces of rot in it, but part of me thinks that those were from previous roots that had rotted. I'm not quite sure, but it doesn't seem like any of the currently attached roots are rotting, if that makes sense. Like, those were just pieces that kind of fell away. So I think that they're just old, or they came from the stem. I'm not concerned about them. So my game plan has changed a little bit. I am still going to pot them up into these clear pots, but instead of planting them up in soil, we're gonna use sphagnum moss. So sphagnum moss will be a great substrate for their roots to continue to grow in. And hopefully it'll be like hold enough nutrients, obviously not a ton, but enough nutrients to help these plants like really take off, or at least take off more than they have been. So the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to wet our sphagnum moss. So I have my bowl. If you guys haven't done this, I went to the thrift store and that's where I found these. They always have bowls. And then this is just like your dedicated plant bowl. Honestly, 10 out of 10. It works so well. You'd be surprised how often you need a bowl when you're doing plant stuff. So we're gonna just take out some of the sphagnum moss. My moss, this is not exactly like brand new moss. So it does have pieces of perlite in it, maybe some bits of leca, totally fine. If anything, that will just like add to the experience. I'm just taking out any of these like little, I don't even know if you can see that, but like little stringy things, kind of like anything that's not moss, you know, that I don't want in there. Like something like this, you know, just kind of annoying. Then I'm going to take my water, glass of water, and we're just gonna pour it in there. I'm going to take my plant out of the hydrogen peroxide. Its roots are beautiful. So excited. I think this plant will really love it. So I'm gonna start, we're just gonna squish this moss, kind of wring it out. If you don't like getting your hands dirty, you can always wear like latex gloves when you do this. I personally don't mind. So if it bothers you, you can wear gloves. So I'm just gonna wring it out completely, kind of like you would a towel, and then kind of crinkle it up and stick it in the pot. When that was like a fistful of moss, but when you kind of fluff it up, it fills up more in your pot. You don't want to pack this in too much, because if you do, that will only encourage root rot because it can suffocate your roots. So try to keep it like light and fluffy, just kind of like gently drop it down in there so that it's fluffy. You want it to be fluffy. Okay, then we're just gonna take my plant, stick it in there. It looks like the roots are going to be a little bit too tall. Actually, that might work, because then the stem kind of sits on top, which is what we want. So I'm just gonna wring out more moss, give it a good squish. Take off your jewelry when you do this. And then again, just kind of break it up in my hand. I always wish I had 3 hands when I'm repotting plants, because it would be nice to have 2 hands to handle the substrate and then just 1 hand to hold the plant up. You can find a friend to come and help you. I recommend that. My husband's on puppy duty, so he can't come help, unfortunately. Okay, I'm just gonna grab another handful. Looks like we're gonna get lots of leca this time. So when this one was in perlite, it couldn't stand by itself, and now look at it. Oh, you can't see it. The camera's a little wonky. But anyways, it's standing by itself, which I'm really proud of. That's awesome. This one, I might actually wait a little bit. Maybe we'll take another break because I want this to callus over before I pot it up. So we are going to take a quick break from repotting just because I really want that stem of the smaller one to callus over. So we're gonna give it some time to do that. And we're gonna water some of my plants. We just got a puppy, so a lot of them need to be watered. So to start, we're gonna water this philodendron white princess. I really blanked for a second on what it was. This is my awesome watering can. Yes, it is heavy when it's full of water. Thank you. Here she is, getting a drink. The next plant that looks like it needs to be watered is this guy. This is a cutting that I just took, so it definitely needs water. So this one doesn't have any drainage. So what we're gonna do is I pour water in there, like a lot of water, and then I just dump it out. I like use my hand like a colander and dump it out. I put water in it, and then I'm just gonna take it and like my hand like this, and then try to dump it out. Whatever's a little extra in there. Next up, we're gonna water this El Chaco Red. This poor little cutting definitely needs some water, but look, he's got a new leaf coming in. I know this one is thirsty because it like tips over. I'm not gonna let this one drain all the way because of the shelf it sits on. It's okay if it gets wet, and it'll add to the humidity of the cabinet in my mind. And now I'm just gonna water some of the other plants in here. Ta-da! Not too much. Oh, you couldn't even see what I was doing. I'm so sorry. And then I'm gonna water the mammiae in the back. Someone is showering. Then I'm gonna water my little baby gloriosum. So this cabinet, I just uploaded the video today of me putting this cabinet together. So it will already be posted by the time you guys see this one. But this is my philodendron cabinet. So it's where I keep all of my philodendrons. And also some of my cuttings, because I have the heat mat right here. I don't know if you can see like the blue lettering here. That's the heat mat. So it's good for cuttings. Like I have an elbow Monstera cutting, an Anthurium auroquianum cutting, if you can see it right there. And the heat mat is just really nice because it helps those roots grow and develop. So I don't keep it on a timer. I used to, but now I just plug it in. And I try not to forget about it. If you leave it on for too long, it can dry your plants out. So I just plug it in and let it do its thing. So I think it works. The next thing that we're gonna do is I just picked up this gorgeous Anthurium crystallinum today. I'm so weird. I like buy them and then a couple months later I sell them and then I buy another one again. So I did just sell one of them a couple months ago, but then I saw this one. It's so like lanky, kind of awkward. The leaves are a little small, like that's what it looks like head on. But I think I can make it really happy. So I'm pretty excited for it. But because it's a new plant, we've got to do some pest care, some pest maintenance. So that's what we're gonna do next, is do some pest maintenance. You can tell that the girl I bought it from also had a fungus gnat problem because it looks like she's got the mosquito bits in the soil. So I've got my spray bottle here. It has neem oil in it. Yeah, just has neem oil and then water and dish soap. I have a reel about how I make that on my Instagram. If you don't follow me on Instagram, I do a lot of fun planty things over there. I have shown, actually I've shown the entire root rot process of my Monstera constellations over there. So if you're super curious about how I've treated them, how I've gotten them to this point, don't neglect them like I did after you've treated them. So if you want to see that whole process, go ahead and check out my Instagram. It is at lil.house.plants. And then I am still going to quarantine this plant, even though I did just spray it down with neem oil. You can never be too careful. I'm also going to spray some just on the top of the soil. I don't want to drench the plant because it looks like it was just watered, but yes, isn't it beautiful? She's a little awkward, but I really like it. I hope we can get some bigger leaves to grow in, and I think it'll be really happy. Hello, and welcome back. Here we are a couple hours later. It's been like 2 hours. Yeah, about 2 hours, just so that this little bottom part could callus off a little bit. If you can tell, it's a darker color than it was before, which means we are good to go. And then we're just gonna pot this up into some moss, just like we did with the other one. Now you'll notice this one doesn't have like a ton of roots like the other one did. So my solution for that is I'm only gonna pot it up in like the bottom portion of this pot. Just because I feel like it's a good size, like round wise, like that is a good size, but it's just a little tall. So I'm just gonna pot it up in the bottom portion, and then as it grows, I can like move it up inside the pot, if that makes sense. I'll show you. That will make more sense once I show you. So I'm just squeezing out all that water, that extra water from the moss. And then we're just gonna sprinkle a little bit in there. And then I'm gonna take my plant and put it in as well. And then just sprinkle it on top of those roots. So you'll notice that I didn't put this like stem in the soil. I don't wanna bury that like at all. I just want it to rest kind of on top. That will just help prevent any kind of rot. Not prevent, but if I were to stick it in there, I feel like it would be more prone to rot. So this is a good way to just kind of hopefully stop it from rotting, but we shall see. Okay, and there it is all potted up. Fingers crossed that this goes well. Hopefully it'll be okay. Just because we're here, we're talking about variegated monsteras, I thought I'd show you this other project that I have going on. Here we have my Monstera albo cutting. It's really losing its luster, which concerns me. Before it was like perked up like this, and now it's kind of wilting, which makes me really nervous. I don't know what that means. I've never really done this before with an albo Monstera. I know a lot of people have like awesome scientific ways that they do these things, but all I did, so I have it in this jar of water. Anyway, so I have it sitting on top of like this plastic bag so that the stem doesn't risk rotting. It does need to be kept moist. That's why I keep it in my IKEA greenhouse cabinet, because you don't want this part to dry out too much. I worry it might be getting too dry. I need to run my humidifier in there just a little more. But that way, if this long root doesn't make it, I have this little guy here and I can try again. So I'm a little concerned about right there. Do you guys want to take a look at it with me? Maybe we'll take a look. Just take my tape off. Then it slides right out. Let's see. Oh no. Oh no. Oof. I'm so glad we checked. That is rotting. Ooh. Can you see that? Oh, oh my heart. Okay, okay, not good. Let's treat this guy for root rot. Did you know we would be doing this today? Let's treat my Monstera albo for root rot. Bonus content. So clearly right there, it's rotted. You can kind of tell like here, the root is like dried out. That's not good. So I'm gonna cut it right there because it seems like that's where our rot ends. It looks like, I don't know if you can even make it out, there's kind of like that black dot right there. So that means that we didn't get all of the rot. So I'm gonna cut it back a little bit more. We really wanna make sure we only leave healthy root, because if not, the rot will just spread. I hate that I'm doing this, honestly. Ugh. I know these are so prone to rot, but I had hoped better things of this guy. Do you see the difference now? Do you see how white that is? That means it's healthy. I had plans tonight. I should have known it was rotting because of how wilted the leaf was. That's just a sign that the plant was not getting enough oxygen. So now I'm gonna let that callus over probably, like, not overnight, but for a couple of hours. And then I'll treat it with some hydrogen peroxide and some water. Actually, we'll just treat it now. This water that it was in its jar is obviously like no good, so I'm gonna throw it out. I've got a new, fresh, clean cup of water, and then I'm gonna put some hydrogen peroxide in it. Cutting plus hydrogen peroxide and water equals happiness. Okay, I'm gonna let that soak probably for like an hour. Then I will lay it out to dry and harden over probably for a good couple of hours. My husband and I are leaving for the evening, so I'll probably put it in, let's see, it's 5:30 now. I'm gonna let this soak for about 5 minutes, and then I'll lay it out to dry probably until we get back, so it'll be super late. But trust me, you want these to callus over. You want that. So I'm gonna let it sit out for a couple of hours, and then I think I'm gonna pot it back up in some fresh perlite. Not the one that I just sanitized today, but in fresh perlite. That worked really well for my Monstera Thai constellations, so hopefully it'll work for this guy. My goal was to root it in water first and then put it in perlite, and in hindsight I wish I would have just put it straight into perlite, because now we've lost quite, you saw how long that root was, right? So now we've lost quite a bit of root, so it's very unfortunate, but hopefully this goes well. Thank you guys so much for watching and going on this journey with me. I joke.
You're welcome.
Oh, thanks, Siri. Seriously, if you guys love variegated Monstera, if you can get a good established, then I say go for it. I had an established Monstera elbow, but I sold it because I didn't have the time to take care of it. And then I bought a cutting who needs more time and more attention. So for this cutting, I kind of explained just a second ago how I'm going to care for it, but I didn't include that I now plan on checking on it every single week. I usually do this on Sundays. Sundays are like my slower days. So I check on all of my plants that I'm rehabbing from root rot, or maybe even possibly from pests. That's just kind of like my intense care day, you know? So this plant is definitely gonna be added to that list. I already have another one, my Philodendron Pink Princess, that I'm taking care of for root rot as well. That one was shipped to me with rot, which just was awful. It's fine, we love them, right? Anyways, so fingers crossed that this will go well, that this plant will bounce back, and hopefully we'll have a beautiful Albo Monstera. Thank you guys so much for watching though, and for joining me. I really appreciate those of you who watch my videos. If you liked this kind of video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I hope that this is a video that you can just like play in the background while you're doing plant chores or you're working. I really hope it's something that you enjoy and that you guys look forward to every other week. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you guys in the next video. I almost said next week's video. Next 2 weeks video. How about that? If you want to see any of my other fun content or any other planty things, go ahead and check out these other videos. I don't know where they go. I think they go on the bottom. Boop, boop, boop. Or on the side, if they're on the side. Or if they're above me, you know, wherever my sweet editor puts them. Check them out. They're lots of fun. Bye!